to Hoop Shooting the Breeze, our show all about the hoop shoot. Each month, we catch up with past participants, volunteers, and other friends of the Hoop Shoot program. I'm McKenna Cannon, and joining me today is a very special guest, Israel Idonije, former Chicago Bears defensive lineman, author, philanthropist, and our 2020 Virtual Awards Banquet speaker. Welcome, Israel.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So, Israel, the Hoop Shoot we discussed and our motto is always about grit. And grit is the combination of determination and dedication to a particular subject or passion in order to achieve success. And we believe that all of our kids have grit, and you've definitely demonstrated grit in your many endeavors, particularly in your career as a professional football player. Can you talk a little bit about your journey in the NFL?
Absolutely, McKenna. I think, one, I love the notion and the focus on grit as like a skill, as a trait that we want all of us to have, right? It's so important, right? When I think through my journey, that grit has been so important. And grit really consists of like so many different things, right? Mindset, right? Having that mindset that you're not going to quit, you're not going to give up mindset is so important. You know, your work ethic, right? All of these different things make someone gritty. And gritty is something, or being gritty is something that we all have, right? Regardless of how young or old you are, it's just something that we can all develop and get better at, just that perseverance. And for me, my journey was not an easy one. Going from a kid, I was born in Lagos, Nigeria. I moved from Africa to Canada when I was just 4 years old. And actually playing in the NFL was not something that I ever really dreamt of. It was something that, it was just a gift that I had, the ability of sport. I loved sports, particularly I loved basketball. That was my dream as a child. When I was 13 years old, I wrote that my goal was to play basketball for the Chicago Bulls. Michael Jordan and the Bulls were, they were my favorite team. And that was like my dream. I'd written a bunch of goals that I hoped to achieve at that young age of 13. And that's why it's so important. Side note, all of us, that you write your goals down, write your dreams down, write down that vision of who you want to be, of who you see yourself in the future. Take time to write that down and start to roadmap the development of your own life, right? And start to own the development of our own lives. It's so important. But that was my dream as a child, the Bulls and playing in the NBA. And along that journey, these opportunities, these doors opened up for me. And although I did not want to walk through the door of football, thankfully I had people around me. My coach at I played 9-man football at the time. At my 9-man football team with the Vincent Massey Vikings, he got me the opportunity to try out for Team Manitoba. My mother, I did not want to go to my first practice. She drove me to my first practice against my will. We drove 2.5 hours from Brandon, Manitoba to Winnipeg, Manitoba for my first football practice. And, I cried on the way. I was not happy. I did not want to play. And at the practice, I had a great practice. I dominated. I went and I just did my thing because I was competitive. Like, I didn't want to lose in any sprints. I didn't want to lose in any drills. And I made that team. Thankfully, I had great people in my life that helped me walk through those doors when they opened, even though sometimes we don't want to walk through those doors ourselves. It's really important to try new things, to learn new things, because in that trying and learning, sometimes you realize or you learn that you have a gift that you didn't know you had, right? And football was just a game from the beginning that I was just always really good at, although I didn't really love the game when I started playing it. At that practice that same day was the head coach of the University of Manitoba, Brian Doby. At the end of the practice, he said, "Hey, young man, we'd love you to come play at our university." I ended up playing at the University of Manitoba for 5 years. And I almost quit my first 2 years because I never played. I only practiced. My third year, I got my first opportunity to actually play. I played in 4 games. And then going into my fourth and fifth year, finally, I became a starter by default. The player that was ahead of me was academically ineligible. He didn't pass enough of his grades. And that year I was first team All-Canadian. I was the Can West All-Star. So the importance of, although the plan in our lives may not be going exactly as you want, the importance of continuing to work, continuing to prepare, exercise that grit but when your opportunity comes, being able to seize it, being able to perform, being able to execute, you know. So although for those first 3 years I never really played, when finally 4 years later, 4 years is a long time. As I said, I almost quit when I got to start. I was ready and I took advantage of that opportunity. And that lesson actually carried me into the NFL as well. You know, after my fourth year at the University of Manitoba, a scout from the Cleveland Browns, an NFL team, came to my university, and Yogi Jones was his name, said, "Hey, young man, I think you could play in the NFL." I ended up signing a free agent deal with the Cleveland Browns. I broke my leg before the first preseason game, and they cut me. They sent me home, right? And it was tough, right?
Oh my gosh,
21
yeah.
years old, yeah, a kid. And you know, I went home. I was the first Manitoban to ever play in the NFL. So everywhere I went,
Mhm.
people were like, "Hey, shouldn't you be? It's the season.
Right.
Shouldn't you be in Cleveland?" And it was challenging for me to have those conversations. So because of that, I never left my house. And thankfully, my mother came to me and said, "Hey, son, an opportunity is going to come. And if
Mhm.
you're just here in this house, you're not training, you're not doing your rehab, when that opportunity comes, you're not going to be ready." And that's why it's so important for all of us, right, to keep preparing. Even though you don't know when the opportunities gonna
Mhm.
come, it's important that we all continue to prepare and put in that work.
Mhm.
And thankfully, because of her advice, I got back to my rehab. I kept working out, and the Chicago Bears called. And November 17th, 2003. Wow. They flew me out here to Chicago
Mhm.
and signed me to a 1 week contract. And thankfully, that 1 week turned into an incredible 11 seasons in the NFL, with the whole journey really just lots of lessons to be learned, a lot of support, lots of hard work. But every bit of hard work, all the lessons learned, all the ups and downs, it was a part of the journey, and it was well worth it.
Oh, wow. That is an incredible story. And I love what you said about, continuing to put in the work and continuing to strive for the things that you want to achieve, even when there's trials, when you're working through really hard things. I think that's such an important um, thing. And it's definitely something that grit teaches us, right? Like, is that like drive to succeed, basically, no matter what's happening. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've really touched on this already a little bit, but how did being an athlete help you develop into the person that you are today?
Well, what I love about sports, McKenna, is there are so many lessons learned through sport, right? Being able to work on a team, right? Outside of sports, you're going to have a job, you're going to have a family, you're going to be a part of a team, not in necessarily in the sense of sports, but on a team corporately, where you have a boss, you have people that you got to work with and do projects with, you have assignments you have to do, right? Sports teaches you how to really be effective at working on a team.
Yeah.
Sports teaches you how to plan and prepare, right? Each week in the NFL, all week you prepare for that team that you're going to play. All week you prepare for those players specifically that you're going to go up against, right? I played defensive end for most of my career. So most of my week was in preparation for one or two guys specifically. I studied the film on how this guy was going to try to block me. Was he a jump setter? Did he set back, right? The same way in basketball, you gotta strategize and know who's going to be guarding you, who what formations, what plays are they going to run. You got to plan and prepare every intricate detail of that game that you're preparing for leading up to that week. We would work towards. That's the same way in life, right? You need a plan in life if you want to be successful, right? And
Mhm.
what's beautiful about life is we define success, right? When I was 13, I wanted to play professional sports. I actually had a list of all the things that I wanted to do. When you lay out that plan, that then allows you to understand what steps that you need to take to get there, right? If you want to be a
Mhm.
doctor, you need to take certain steps in order to achieve that goal, right? So sports teaches you just so much about planning, preparation, right? In the
Mhm.
game, you make a bad play, right?
Yep.
You've got to make a quick assessment. What did I do wrong? You got to put it behind you. And guess what? You got to get ready for the next play, right? So important in life as well, where if something doesn't go your way, you can't let that one mistake ruin the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year of your life. They call it short memory in sports, right? Short memory. Whether you make a good play or a bad play, you make an assessment. What mistakes did I made? You learn from them. What things did I do well? You lock those in. Let's do more of that. And then you focus on the next play, right? So what I love about sports is that there's just so many lessons that you can learn that allow you to be better in just this journey, in this game of life that we all play. Whether you like it or not, the game of life is a game that we're all going to play. When you wake up every day, you are in that game. You are playing that game. And winning in that game, it's the same. You've got to prepare, you got to put in the work, you've got to practice, you've got to train. In whatever field that you decide that you want to play in, right? Whatever profession, whatever job that you want to have, there's certain rules to that game, right? To that profession. And sports allows you to have that approach on how to win every day, ultimately leading towards your championship. And that's your championship for all of us. It's having the version of success that you want for you in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, sports totally teach us how to, plan and prepare for the things that we want and to really become people that are adaptable to all situations, like you said.
Yeah.
You can change, how you think about things, I think, and having that short-term memory in sports, I think that's something that, former athletes carry with you. You're like, oh, that didn't go so well. Why didn't it go well? How can I change this for the future? And I think that's such a great mentality to have. And you also, mentioned, it teaches you how to be on a team, which is so true. And it's such an important skill for everyone. And you actually recently joined kind of a new team. In March, you joined a group of prominent Chicago athletes and public figures, which includes our 2019 keynote speaker, Kendall Coyne Schofield, as an investor in the National Women's Soccer League team, the Chicago Red Stars. Why was this investment important to you?
Well, I think, McKenna, it was important to me on a number of fronts. One, personally, on my, I spoke about, making a plan. Like, what is your plan for your life? What are the things that you have on your vision board? Like, a vision board for all of us is that list, that board that you've written kind of all your goals on. So on my vision board, personally, I have a goal of owning a professional sports team, right? So when I thought through, and it's funny, on that board, I was thinking NBA team, an NFL team, a hockey team, soccer team. And when this opportunity came to me, as I thought through it more, I was like, you know what? I've had this on my vision board to own a professional sports team. And although, the SL was not one of those leagues that I initially thought of, right? I was like, this is perfect, right? This is gonna check that vision that I had set for my plan on, like, where I want to be and what I want to be a part of. This is one of those things. And when I started to look at like who's involved and how the team was positioned in the league and the success that they had, again, a lot of those core values of the team really connect with me, right? About winning, about doing the right thing, about being a part of an incredible community, which is, so many great things in sport when it comes to community and togetherness, especially here in Chicago, which is a sports city, right? And then secondly, I just really believe that when it comes to women's sports, right, there's been a lot of injustice in the way that leadership has, the approach that they've taken to really positioning our female athletes as professionals, right? And a lot of these leagues, these female sports leagues have had that issue, right? The leadership in these teams and these organizations not treating the female athletes the same as they treat the male athletes. And what better way for me to be a part of a solution than to be a part of an ownership group that really helps set the standard, set the playbook of how you treat, whether you're a female or a male on an NWSL team, on a NBA team, an NFL team, you are a professional athlete, right? And the way all of these athletes are treated should be consistent. The locker rooms, the nutrition, the workouts, how they travel, all of these things that I was fortunate to have being in the
Mhm.
NFL. The NFL, it's like it's on another level, right?
Right. Right.
How we're treated as athletes, right? So for me, what was really exciting was being able to be a part of the conversation that brought some of those experiences to our athletes,
Mhm.
for the Red Stars. But
Yes.
more importantly, can we kind of set the standard where other teams could learn from us as well?
Yeah, that's incredible. And, I couldn't agree more that it needs to be an even playing field, so to speak, across, all of the sports leagues, men and women. And it's, so inspiring to hear that that's one of the reasons that it was important to you. At the Hoop Shoot, we have kind of an initiative we call Girls Aloud, where we're working on getting more women involved in volunteer roles for our kids so that they have those strong female leader role models. And I think that really fits in exactly with our vision on women's sports. I think that's really great to hear. So yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. And yeah, and I know that, it's been an interesting kind of year for sports in general, and it's been a
Yeah.
challenging year for everybody across the country, across the world. And due to the coronavirus, we had to take a step back, postpone our plans for a conclusion and a banquet with you there in person last spring, to do kind of a fully virtual conclusion taking place this year with our 2020 national finalists. And athletics around the country have definitely taken a hit, but we're seeing sports bounce back.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to most with the return to kind of a quote unquote more normal sporting events and seasons?
Well, I think first and foremost, us as human beings, we're social, right? I think it's so important for us to get back to connecting face to face. Virtual is great, and thankfully, virtual has been there for us to still have some connectivity during this crazy year, right? As a human race, we've never seen a year like this, right? Especially our generation. Like, this is unprecedented, this past year that we've gone through, that our kids have gone through, right? So it's been challenging, and thankfully we've had this virtual connectivity,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
But we still
Yes.
need to see each other, right? We still need to hug each other and be able to smile, and there's so much, so important is energy, right? The energy of having someone next to you as you're talking, connecting,
Mhm.
that's missed virtually, right? To have been
Yes.
able to be in a room full of like all our students and like everybody, the coaches, and being able to just connect and feel that energy, there's nothing quite like it, right? So
Mhm.
I'm really excited to have that back in our lives,
Mhm.
and I'm just ready for that connection, for that energy, for the face to face, and then as an athlete, being in an arena, being on a court, being on a field,
Mhm.
it's not the same without the fans, right? It's just,
Yeah.
do whatever you want as far as having virtual fans on screens and on seats,
Yeah.
but such an important part of the game is the fans, right? That relationship with the fans, when you make a play. Some of my favorite plays that I've ever made in sport, what made them so special is after the play you stood up and
Mhm.
you felt the energy of 70,000 fans
Wow.
cheering, right? The
Yeah.
ground vibrating, it's electric. There's nothing like it. So I'm really looking forward to again getting back in the arena myself, having the arena, the stadiums filled, and just feeling that energy once again.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, no, that is something, it's so intangible, right? The energy that you feel when you're at a sporting event. And that's definitely what I know I personally have been missing, is that feeling, and being at the hoop shoot events and feeling that excitement from all the contestants and all the fans and the volunteers and everybody. And you might not know this, but the hoop shoot is kind of an event like no other. And the fans are completely silent while the kids are shooting their free throws. So
Wow.
you can hear a pin drop in the gymnasium, and there's hundreds of people standing there, and there's just the sound of the dribbling basketball and the swoosh in the net. But the minute that everybody has completed their free throws, eruption of noise, right? Clapping and cheering and everything. So I can't wait to get back to that really next season, and we're all looking forward to it. But we're excited for our contestants, of course, that are competing this spring virtually, and we're cheering them on from the virtual sidelines here in Chicago.
Right.
We're the cardboard cutouts in the stands, so to speak. They've all been hard at work practicing. But I'm wondering if you have any words of inspiration or advice for those national finalists competing this month.
So I'd say first, I guess my insight to all our kids is, I know this last year has been hard, but for everybody, I want you to just find some comfort knowing that everything that you hoped to achieve, every dream that you had, everything that you wished to do in this last year, although this year's been a little wild and crazy, it's still in front of you, right? So don't lose any heart in thinking that you missed an opportunity, or you lost something, or you're playing at a disadvantage or living at a disadvantage from everybody else, right? Everything that you hope to achieve for your life, for you, it is still in front of you, right? Go get it, reset, refocus, drop your game plan, and go get it, right? Show that grit, be relentless, go get your wins, all right? Your wins, they're there for you, and you're gonna have them. For our finalists, you've put in the work, you've worked hard, let loose, have fun, all right? Have an incredible time and just let your gift shine, right? You've put in that work to get there. It's your moment, right? And during your moment, just put everything else to the side, let loose, and have fun with it. And regardless of the outcome, if you know that you've done your best, you know that you've prepared, you know that you've shown up ready to put in that work, regardless of the outcome, right? You'll have peace knowing that all the variables that you could control, that you locked in and you did those things, all right? So just go ahead, it's like the finals and anything, right? Leading up to the finals, you've done everything necessary. Now there's one thing left to do, and that's just to shine, right? So on that day, go ahead, shine, have fun, and looking forward to seeing and hearing the results from that competition, all right? So show no mercy, let's go.
Awesome. Thank you, Israel. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us today?
No, I appreciate you, McKenna. I appreciate all of you, to all of our youth, that we're counting on you, right? You're the future, literally, of our communities. You're the future of this world that we're building. And from all of you, we expect big things. And I always say that, right now, at the age that you are, it's never too early to start laying out your plan for who you want to become, what you want to do in life, what you want to achieve in life, what you want to overcome and conquer in life, right? This journey for all of us, it's going to be full of challenges. I promise you will have challenges in your life, right? The difference between those who don't make it and those that make it is those that make it continue to work. They continue to fight, they continue to grind, they continue to show their grit, right? So my hope is that for all of you, continue just to work, grind, show that grit, and just be a light, be a leader, be a star amongst everyone else that's around you, all right? And I expect big things from you. So I appreciate y'all, and just keep getting after it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling inspired. So I'm sure that all of our national finalists and contestants around the country are too. So thank you so much again, Israel, for being here with us today. We'll see you again in May for the 2020 Virtual Awards Banquet. And of course, we'll be back here next month on Hoops Shooting the Breeze. If you liked the show, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave a thumbs up on the video, and let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks again, Israel, and until next time, best wishes.
Best wishes. See you guys later.
Before we sign off, we have a winner to announce. The final service scorecard raffle winner of the season, winning a $100 donation to the charity of their choice, is Shay Gray. Congrats, Shay, and a huge thank you to everyone that participated and served their communities. The service scorecard will be back in the fall with a new season of service, and we can't wait to see you all then. Best wishes.